Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and a warm welcome to you. Welcome to the Misfits Racing League. My name is Frostbreath and this is Season 6, Round 10 here in Tier 2. We are ready once again for hopefully another epic race after the week of a break where we didn't race. The last race was actually in Canada, which was a pretty interesting race. We saw Wisp's championship lead taking a bit of a hit after he finished 6th place and his nearest rivals finishing, both of them actually on the podium, with Sana Goat finishing in 3rd and Remco finishing in 2nd. So now that lead has pretty much shrunk to 43 points instead of what was more or less about 50-ish points before the race in Canada had been finished. So here they are then, those standings of which I spoke. There we are, Wisp leading then the Drivers' Championship with 134 points, as said. It's still quite a healthy lead with over half the season done. We have Senagoat following him behind with 91 points and Remco being really close, only 7 points between 2nd and 3rd here in the Drivers, so pretty tight there. We also have the other Red Bull with Big Turbina in it. Pretty much still somewhat in the championship fight. His deficit is about 60 points. So that's pretty big, but with about 8 or 9 races to go still, with half the season still ahead of us, there's a lot of opportunity for him to claw himself up. Both Red Bull drivers combined make up for a very healthy Red Bull Constructors lead with 208 points over 137 from the Alpine team, of which Remco and Polypunk are part of. Polypunk unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, as are quite a few other full-time drivers in Tier 2, which is unfortunate, but what can you do about it? And therefore, thankfully, we've been able to call in a lot of reserve drivers, and as a result, it's still a full grid, so that's always nice to see. Let's have another look then at the standings, since we're still waiting for some drivers to join into the lobby. We have a new name on the board here, in the name of Cutters, who has joined the Williams team next to Sanagoat after their second driver has left. Fraser has left MRL. And therefore, they now have found a replacement. And then, of course, looking a bit at the bottom of the table, we see then Collis, obviously without any points to his name, because this will be his first race as a full-time driver for Williams. We have Gerson also still without any points. And his team as well are pretty far down the table. They're still lost with only 17 points. Both Aro and Gerson, if I'm looking here at the results sheet, haven't been able to score any points recently. The only 2 points from Aro are from the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, which has been, well, more or less about 2 months ago. And Gerson hasn't been able to finish anywhere within the points just yet. I'm trying to find him on the list. I can't find him anywhere in the Tier 2 standings. Not entirely sure why. Maybe that's because he hasn't finished the race. I can't really remember from the top of my head. Either way, we had the reserve winning last time round. I was about to say last week, but it's been 2 weeks. Daisy, as a reserve driver, won the Canadian Grand Prix ahead of Remco and Sano Goat. His third outing as a reserve driver has resulted in 2 podiums. A 3rd place in Imola and a win in Canada, and then the other position was a P11 in Azerbaijan. Either way, he's shown brilliant pace, but he isn't here tonight as a reserve this time round. But you might be wondering, who are the reserve drivers for tonight? Well, we have Feral Dude for the AlphaTauri. We have Attila in the Haas replacing Gerson. We have Wiley in the Alpine, replacing Polypunk. We have Ludamer, if he joins the lobby, in the Mercedes, replacing, I believe it is Donny. We have Axel in the Aston Martin, replacing, from the top of my head, Leclerc. We have Liuktra, if that's pronounced correctly, in the Alfa Romeo, replacing Deeksurf. We have Yoda in the other Alfa Romeo replacing Gian. And we have Henners in the Ferrari replacing Canet, I believe, because I think Crampy is actually in the lobby tonight. Crampy, having finally put in a decent result after the Canadian Grand Prix. He was still without any points before that race happened, and now he's all the way up to P12 in the driver's standings, as you can see over there. So let's hope he can continue this upwards trend for his own sake, because he does have a lot of pace in him. So then, the lobby is about to get ready. Another exciting battle brewing up is between Alpine, Williams and McLaren. All three teams have exactly 20 points in between them and themselves, which is interesting. There's of course still the Mercedes battle between Mercedes, Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo, and also AlphaTauri, which are also very near to one another, especially Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo being pretty much in equal points fighting for P6 and 7. But unfortunately for Alfa Romeo, there's no driver present for them. It is for Aston Martin, though. One of the drivers is in the race tonight. Daz will be racing. As for Mercedes, it is Alexander who is in the race, as we are now getting a migrating host message, which is not good news, if I'm honest. So we might see a lobby restart. And now that I'm looking at the list of drivers, I can't see Alexander in the lobby either. So let me have a little look at the check-in. He did say he can race tonight, as he had the green check mark at the sign-up list. So I'm not entirely sure where he is at the moment. Either way, it's not looking good for the lobby at the moment. I'm joining mid-quali, he said. All right, so we are also restarting the lobby, as they are currently unable to get it going. We are still at the migrating host issue. Both Psycho and Daz are still technically loading, so we are going to have a new one. The most positive thing I can say about that is that nothing has started yet, so no damage done to quali or race. But it's a troubling sign. It's a troubling sign to see that the game falters before it's even properly started. And good evening to you, PW Jones. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you're there. Let's hope things will be fixed very, very soon. What else is there to discuss? As I previously announced, we do no longer have Fraser with us. Something has happened in Canada. I'm not entirely sure what happened. Which caused him to leave one way or another. I kind of missed what happened there. The lobby is restarting on Domi. It's just being put in the check-in chat for tier 2. So I will be rejoining that lobby right now. It'll be a few minutes until we get underway again. So in the meanwhile, we might as well have a little look at what's going on the calendar. There's still plenty of races coming up over here. As you can see, we are in Britain tonight. Next week, and that is always a promising race, is Austria, which is always a guarantee for some proper, serious, heated up racing because of the short track and the great opportunities to overtake there. Coming after that is France, which in real life isn't always that interesting, but I've seen plenty of exciting racing in the game, so that should be good as well. Then we are going to Belgium, just a bit north of France. We're just moving more northwards in 3 weeks' time, it seems. So Belgium then, the beautiful, beautiful circuit of Spa-Francorchamps, one of my favorite tracks, definitely to watch racing on. It's got plenty of interesting sectors going on there, plenty of straights, plenty of awesome corners, and just the way it goes up and downhill is always nice to see. Then we have the Netherlands, which will be my home race, technically, even though I'm not racing, so that will be quite special. We're going to the Netherlands after the 2-week school break here in the Netherlands, actually, is finished. We'll be going there. Then China and Japan. We're going to Asia, 2 races in a row. Going to Abu Dhabi and finishing off in proper style in Brazil. And by that time, it will already be the start of June. And then, of course, the big question is, how will Season 7 look like? I know it's a bit early to talk about, and we do not yet know when the next game is coming out. No rumors about anything on that matter whatsoever. So let's see how that will be in terms of the next season. Will it be a shortened season on this game, or will we wait until the new game? That is up for discussion, of course, for the admins of this racing league. But it's way too early to talk about that just yet. I can see the lobby slowly refilling. There's 15 drivers in currently. There were 18 when we were starting the previous one. And as of that, it's just a matter of minutes, as I said, until we are actually able to get going. This actually is a good excuse for me to go and grab a quick drink to make sure my throat doesn't buckle up while I commentate this. I'll commentate this undoubtedly exciting race, so I'll be back in a moment. There we are then, 16 drivers in. Still waiting on a few. And then that should be good to go. I'm also hoping that the frame issues we had last time round in Tier 3 are permanently resolved now that I changed the settings. I had to restart yesterday due to those weird issues going on. Turns out I had the CPU usage on too much. Despite it being only 60%, it decided it was too much to do it properly. And as such, I had to tune down the settings a tiny bit, and now they're all fine again, I believe. 19 drivers are now in the lobby, which is good news, which means one extra driver has now joined. It might be that Alexander has been able to join in time this time round. And there he is. He is in the lobby at the moment in his Mercedes. Let's have a little look at what happened with him last time he raced. Alexander wasn't racing in Canada, so that's definitely put a dent to his championship hopes. He's still hanging around in P10, as you can see. But the results before that do not lie. It's first and second place in a row. He could potentially be a title challenger if he keeps up those good results. Another one we should keep an eye out on might actually be a Psycho. He's currently hanging around in P6, challenging Polypunk for 5th place. Judging by his latest results, he hasn't scored a podium just yet, but his results have been quite consistent. Of all the races he started, there's only one DNF and the other one is P13. Other than that, there's only points finishes. Never higher than 4th, but still hanging around in P6 in the driver standings, so you never really know what will happen to that. And good news, we are now starting the session, but bad news, the host has left again. Oh dear. 2 times in a row where the host has just left, I think, or maybe he's just rejoining, because last time round we couldn't get it started as somehow Psycho as a host left. But we are, and that's the best news of all, on track, and it's raining. There we are then, ladies and gentlemen. It is actually raining here at qualifying at least, and that already spices things up quite a lot. It's going to be good. It's going to be very good. Let me turn on the audio for you and for myself as well, as sometimes for some reason when you press the escape button, the game decides to not let you hear anything at all. And I see a Williams coming out. It is the Williams of our freshest full-time driver. It is actually Cutters who's the first out on track, and behind him one of the Red Bulls is coming out. Let's have a little look at who that is. It isn't Big Turbina, it is actually our championship leader Wisp, also heading out for a first exploration of this track, which is of course pretty green and pretty wet. So the first few laps will definitely be to get a feeling with the car. And see who comes out on top. If anybody in the race lobby could tell me what the weather will be for the race, that would be much appreciated. I'm already quite interested to see that qualifying is wet. We had a wet to dry race yesterday in Tier 3, which resulted in some very interesting racing and some brilliant strategies. And a literally last corner overtake by race winner Hako. Back to the matter at hand though. Well said, Gauzy. This is the battle of the reserves. Which reserve will do best to replace full-time not attending? That's another way to look at it, which is a good thing to say. Let's see which reserve is best. There's plenty of them tonight. Almost half the grid is reserve driver here at the moment. 19 drivers in. We're still missing somebody, but I cannot figure out from the top of my head who that is. Either way, let's have a little look at Colors as he's getting ready to do his first hot lap here in his full-time Williams seat. So here we are then. Off he goes. Time is running, and let's see what kind of times we can expect here. Obviously, everybody is on the medium tires for this stint. One of the 8 reserves is missing then. I see. Hopefully he'll show up sooner rather than later. Oh, dearie me! We have a crash! It is on, there he is, it's Sanogoat, the challenger to Wisp's championship hopes, has crashed out before he could even start a hot lap. Wow, okay, that was quick. Much quicker than I expected. Has one of the drivers gone out of this race. We have another crash. Well, it's not a crash really, it's a spin from the championship leader. Wisp spinning out in his hot lap attempt, so that's his first attempt ruined there. But from experience, I can say that most drivers put in more fuel under these conditions to do several runs. So let's go back to the first driver who's going to set a lap time, which is Colors. Let's see what his pace is compared to the rest of Tier 2. Well, almost the rest of Tier 2 and mostly reserves on Tier 2. We have another yellow flag, so I can see a Haas standing still off track. That might either be Attila or Aro, who's spun themselves out as well. So definitely already the weather catching several drivers out, including the championship leader. And the man in P2 who's already crashed his Williams. So now all hope in the Williams team is on their newest driver, Colors here. Had a bit of a moment over there coming into the last corner and setting a solid 138.2 for now. And let's see who will be able to be that. It's definitely not going to be Wisp as he's ruined his attempt after spinning out. So let's have a little look at another reserve driver here, Liuktra. I dearly hope I pronounced that name correctly. Probably not. And there we have Wisp, obviously with a 1 minute 47 after spinning out in the first sector. So let's see then. Henner's going faster, much faster in fact than Colors does. And so does Liuktra by over a second quicker than the fresh Williams driver. Remco slotting in a P5, but probably not the ideal lap. And there we have it then. Big Turbina. Wisp's teammate has put in a 36.778. I think there's some desync going on over here because there's no way he couldn't see that McLaren over there. So there we have our first evidence of desync in this lobby tonight. Wiley posting in a second place at the moment, which is now P3, as Crampy put in a mighty lap time there, coming in second at the moment with a 36.883. Let's switch to the man who was absent last time round. Alexander Johansen is definitely going for another attempt as his current lap time is a 1 minute 49. Which is of course not nearly good enough. It's currently only 12th fastest. So he's gonna go, I think, once again. Or maybe a cooldown lap first and then another attempt later. It's pretty interesting to see how all these people handle this situation differently. I think it's still raining. Let's see if I can still see any raindrops. Yeah, there we are. It's definitely still raining as we are now on board with Reap. You just set a second fastest time with a 36.834, just a little slower than Big Turbina is and a tiny bit faster than Crampy is. The top three is separated by just over a tenth of a second at the moment. Let's switch to another driver who's probably going to try and set a hot lap here, but unfortunately he's invalidated. Domi was hosting the lobby and no longer is after he left and rejoined. He's now on his way back to either the pit lane or a restart of his lap attempt, a hot lap attempt here at Silverstone. Rainy, wet Silverstone. You're gonna love the good old British weather. It's hard to not appreciate that. And I think, yeah, there we are. Feral Dude, look at that. Half a second quicker than Big Turbina. That man is really putting on the pressure on the full-time drivers, as the top 5 is now set by 2 reserve drivers right there. Crampy then on his second attempt in his Ferrari. He's gonna go, as I predicted, for 2 runs in a row. 1.5 tenths quicker already, as the track is slowly but surely improving ever better and better as you form more of a dry line. And his teammate, reserve teammate, has just crashed out of qualifying after all those S's over there, the Megas and Begas and the whatever corner names are. Just at the end of the start of Sector 3, actually, his car has lost it, and Crampy going quite wide, not getting his lap invalidated, and therefore still going strong. And now he's invalidated it by going a bit too much off the track on the inside of the corner, and that's his second attempt over. He was going quite well with almost 2 tenths quicker in the first sector alone. It was very promising, but unfortunately it wasn't to be, as Big Turbina has decided that Feral Dude's time isn't good enough and has put himself up to P1 once again. Provisional pole then, and we are now in the 1 minute 35s. So let's have a little look at Wisp. He's going for a second attempt. His previous attempt was a proper one, but it's still only 1 minute 39.7. Which isn't particularly quick if you look at his teammate, who is more or less, it's hard to say, but he's 4 seconds slower than his teammate who's currently on provisional pole. Which is a big deficit, and I highly doubt that is a result of a proper hot lap. Something must have gone wrong there for sure, because nobody expects this from the championship leader, even in wet conditions. So let's see what happened. Which sector did it go wrong? We saw his first sector was pretty much equal to his previous attempt. And now he comes around at the end of the final sector. That is 31 milliseconds quicker only. So he must have lost a lot of time then in the final sector, as he's now approaching the final few corners. He had a purple second sector though. So maybe his lap time was going really well until here. Because even in the last corner you can mess it up. So let's see if he does so now. No, he's coming round the final corner nice and clean and across the line. It is a Red Bull 1-2 for the moment, as he pips out Feral Dude for his second front row seat. You've got a Aston Martin going in quite strange directions. Oh, dearie me, it's Das who's lost his front wing entirely as he tries to move out of the way of one of the Haases and another Mercedes approaching from behind. That's Lucas Alvarez. Going past him, who has invalidated his laps. Let's see actually how Aro is doing. He's definitely got another driver now to measure his strength against in his own team, as Attila still hasn't set a lap time. He's currently hanging around in last place, not counting Senegoat's retirement before even setting a lap time. And there we are. Attila has set a 4th time, so that is quite the gap to his temporary teammate there, Aro, who is now going to settle for a second attempt. So let's see what he can do there. Haas hasn't been very successful in Tier 2 just yet. They are doing quite well in Tier 3, but not as well in Tier 2, as their drivers haven't been able to score a lot of points recently. I can't tell you unfortunately if the race is wet. I haven't received any information on that just yet, so I'm hoping that if any driver or somebody who's with a driver is able to provide me with that information. That really is a feature they should add next time round. Oh my goodness, Aro nearly loses the car completely, mows some grass, and that's his attempt over. He wanted to improve there, but it wasn't to be just yet. But with 7 minutes still remaining, there is some time left to improve still. There isn't Reapy approaching from behind. It's actually Feral Dude behind Aro there, who's been pipped by 2 Red Bulls, the sister team, as they are called. So he's once again going and try even harder. It's only 1/10 to second place. And wow, Attila is going for 2 laps in a row there as he improves his time even more and splits the Red Bulls. And now, for the first time in a long while, we see a Haas on the front row. Very promising pace there from Attila. Many drivers are also on their outlap for another attempt there on track. See what they can do. Wiley being one of them, another one of the reserve drivers here. And Cutters on his first outing for Williams has been pushed down to P14 already. Definitely a lot of improvement needed there, but he is on an attempt at the moment. See if he can improve. How much buggy stuff has happened yet? Well, I think either one McLaren or Big Turbina is desynced, because they had to come together and neither of them got damage from it. Was a bit awkward to see. But, I think there's at least one desync issue going on at the moment, so not too bad. A bit of a moment there from Cutters, as he's already 1.5 tenths slower than his previous attempt, even though the track is improving. So maybe that time can be recovered in the final sector. Maybe that's where he lost it all. As we saw a McLaren teleport to the pit lane all of a sudden. It's not because he retired. Cutters is coming in though. It's dry. Believe it or not. Or is it? No, it's not dry. Sorry about that. It's still raining a little bit. It's very light though. So I'm not sure why he's going in. He's low on fuel. That might explain it. Let's go back to Feral. He's invalidated the lap. Unfortunately, so he's gonna have to try again. And one driver that should improve, if he wants any chance of starting higher up, is Alexander here. He's currently still sitting around with this 1:49 as a Red Bull there moves out of the way. So there's plenty of time left on the table for him. Can he make the 1:35s? I don't think he can. No, it's going to be close, but it's not going to be enough. It's a 1:36.4. That's enough for P5, which is already a lot better than P17. Another driver, which probably really disappointed with his results so far and has once again invalidated his lap, is Remko here. He's currently sitting 3rd in the driver's standings and 17th on the grid at the moment, because he still hasn't been able to put in a quick lap here, a proper quick lap. He's invalidated this attempt at least, so he's going to have to try again. Who's behind him? It's Wisp. Wisp, who's also low, would also like to get going. For some reason, decides to go racy with Remco here. He's just pushing the Alpine literally, and I think this is another example of a desync issue here. There's no way Wisp decides to drive that closely behind his near rival. Remco does move out of the way though, so maybe it was the case, because he moved out of the way to let the car past. But that's very strange. Very strange behavior there from either Wisp or Remco or both. I think Remco might be the one with desync issues, as he's now got a Williams very closely behind him. 79 milliseconds quicker is what Wisp's now second attempt is going on. Basically everyone is desynced. I do hope not, because that will make a disastrous race. Oh dearie me, it's not boding well. It was great last night in Tier 3. I've only heard about one desync issue so far. So let's see what he can do then. Go Wisp is what Potato Man says in the chat. We have a fan for him. We have a fan. He's approaching the end of the second sector. He needs about 3 or 4 tenths of a second, and that's exactly what he's got at the moment. He's currently fastest in the second sector, and that is promising for his final run in the final sector. He will be in provisional pole if he can keep this up. I'm quite positive about that. And once again, he might just be showing us what a qualifying beast he is and why he's still leading the driver standings for as long as he has. Victor Bina is still sitting in P1 at the moment. Crampy getting really close, but there he is then. Wisp has gone in second place and by a lot of margin. Look at that, almost half a second clear of his teammate. Crampy started in 2 milliseconds behind Turbina, has just been on the front row for a little while, now moved on to P3 already because of Wisp's absolutely mighty qualifying lap there. But it's Remco finally with a proper attempt, and once again he shows his pace as well as he splits the Red Bulls now. It was a Haas who split the Red Bull first time round, now it's an Alpine, the Alpine of the Dutchman here. Remco then slotting his car into second place for the time being. But there's plenty of drivers who are still in an attempt. Big Turbina, for example, looks like he isn't really pushing that hard at the moment. He's recharging his battery. So he might be going again soon. With only 1 minute remaining, time is starting to grow very, very short. We have Feral Dude over here, who was on pole for quite a while. With a mighty time, which is only enough for P7 right now. So let's see what he can do. As he already goes 3/10 quicker in the first sector alone. This man's got some pace. So let's see what he can do then. He was quite fast on his second attempt. Can he be even faster on his final run round the Silverstone track? It's still going on, the rain is. Slowing down enough for this corner, not going too wide, nicely withdrawing within those lines. Now is the weaving to the left and the right. So far though, only Remco has come close to Wisp's attempt, but I have got this feeling that this man can do so as well. Aro crashes out of the race. Oh, sorry, out of qualifying. He's hanging around in P16 only. So that's no good news for Haas, who are desperate to try and get some points. And there we have it then, Attila beating Wisp to pole position. Another very fast driver there, a Haas on provisional pole. But now the big question, of course, is can Feral Dude beat this time? A 1 minute 35.32 beat, and he didn't do it. He's still in 7th place. He didn't do it. And I think qualifying is almost over. No, we have Reapy still going for an attempt here. Feral Dude's teammate. This man can score points for AlphaTauri tonight, as Feral Dude can't. Oh no, he's blown it. He's blown it. And immediately he just goes into the pit lane. He's like, screw this, I'm not going to cross the line with an invalidated lap. Big Turbina cannot improve his time. 5th for him for now. Crampy is he still going? No, he's not going, I'm quite sure. He's going extremely wide. He's doing that quite often here. But there's no way he's going to make it in time. He's already at 1 minute 17. And counting. Wiley is gone purple in the second sector. That might be true, actually. But it is not that much faster than his previous attempt. And it needs much more than just under a 10th quicker. This man is still in an attempt, though. What can he do in the final few corners? He needs to have it nice and clean. He comes around the final one. It's not going to be pole position, but it is a nice second row for the Alpine team there. As we see a Red Bull standing in the grot for some reason, just behind the finish line. But there we have it then. Qualifying has finished. And Wiley finishes it in style in 4th place. I think he'll be quite happy with that one. He's able to keep up the pace that the front runners have of Wisp and Remco. Sanagold will be in the worst position of the title contenders. And we have a reserve driver on pole. Wisp only half a 10th behind. Remco in 3rd. Wiley in P4. Domi in 5th. Big Turbina in P6 then. Crampy just behind him in P7. Feral Dude in P8. Reapy in 9th. And Axel in 10th. And this is another man who will be severely disappointed with only P12. And I'm not sure how happy Colors will be with his first outing only in 15th place. But I think the one who will be the most disappointed is, of course, Sanagoat. He wasn't even able to set the lap time. Will pole sitter Attila take the race win? Already 2,700 channel points going for no. But he is showing some promising pace. But it is very close. to Wisp, and we have dry conditions, it seems, at least for the start of the race. And more often than not, we've seen that the pace of several drivers is entirely different with either wet or dry conditions. So that might either be good or bad news for Attila, who will be starting on pole position. Oh dear, we're getting another migrating host issue as Big Turbina leaves the session. Let's hope he'll be able to rejoin soon. And let's hope that will not cause even more issues. We see other drivers leave as well. Might there be another restart? Don't think there is, no. Feral Dude is joining back now. Fingers crossed hard. But the grid is pretty much ready. Or at least that is what the game says it is. Ah, there we are. The hot lap, or sorry, the formation lap, is not really a hot lap, of course, is starting right now. And of course, since the entire grid has got a free tire choice, I'm very curious to see what's happening there. Looks like it's a mixed bag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 going for the mediums, and the other 11 going for the soft tires. So that's interesting to see. Pole sitter Attila is going for the mediums, and Wisp is going for the softs. So I think Wisp might have the advantage at the start of the race, and later on Attila might be able to claw back, as he will be on the faster tires in the second half of the race pretty much. And already we can see a group forming here with the top 5 driving away from Big Turbina and a pretty big chunk of the rest of the field. Sandergoat going at it very lonely for some reason. Crampy is also part of the front group for some reason. He's ahead of Big Turbina. He's driving around over here. I do hope that's not because of desync issues, as now the McLaren Adomi is going quite slow too. So, yeah, let's hope everything will turn out well. Things will go fine, and Sandergoat is going incredibly slowly. I'm not sure why that is happening. He's just running around at 112 kilometers an hour. Why is that? What's he doing? What is this? Is this desync? This is not gonna go well. Yeah, I'm starting to get more and more worried as they approach the start-finish line. And this is even weirder because for some reason he's driving around at a stable speed. And I've never seen that before as a desync issue. Looks like he's actually controlling the car himself, and it's weaving a little bit. It's definitely not the AI controlling, because if the AI does a formation lap, they're just going full blast. They don't really care about warming up their tires because they're AI. But this is weird. The entire grid has to wait at least another 2 minutes. So sit back and enjoy. Senna goes, oh my goodness, he's suddenly at the start-finish line. Oh dear, restarting the race. Now there we go then. 4 or 5 red lights and we are off for the British Grand Prix. Looks like a pretty decent start. Wow, we have a still standing AlphaTauri on the grid over there. Several people had to move out of the way, and already Attila has lost the lead to Wisp. He's in the lead. The half a tenth deficit in qualifying all made up already, and the medium tires is still, of course, having to get up to temperature, but he's losing even more positions as one of the title rivals of Wisp is going to give chase to him now, and he immediately wrestled himself past the Haas there, and immediately the other Haas is trying to move alongside Domi there as well. Crampy already up to P5, and a beautiful move at the inside causes him to go up to 4th already. A brilliant start there from the Ferrari driver. Several drivers already hanging around at the back. For some reason they might have had a bit of an issue there. We see some lag going on there, and it's a crash of cutters. First time Williams driver spun his car, might have damaged his front wing a little bit there. Already a lot of things going on. I'm not sure what on earth is happening, but it's absolute chaos everywhere. Several groups have split off already. We see 3 cars going into these corners here, and this is definitely not normal as Lucas Alvarez gets rammed out of the way by Aro's most likely desynced Haas. And now we have Daz going ice skating for some reason. And that is just making things even worse. Axel then fighting with Wildy for P7. Let's hope his ice skating skills are a bit better there. His soft tires definitely at the advantage over the medium tires at the moment. So the inside line is his for now. And the superior grip of the Aston Martin is now into 7th place. The reserve driver there, Axel, doing quite well. Now chasing down Big Turbina. And for some reason the game has decided that Sanogoat is now leading the race. Which is of course not even remotely true. As he's driving around somewhere else. I'm not sure. He might be in China right now for all we know. Wisp is... now Psycho is in 2nd place. Sorry, Psycho is now leading the race. It's... I can try to show you how the positions changed, of course, but I'm not entirely sure how accurate that is, because Psycho has apparently made up 12 places since race start, so there you go, Gauzy. Psycho had the absolute perfect start. He is now in 1st from P13 after 1 lap. That's very impressive. He's so far ahead right now, in fact, that he's almost driving into the pit lane. Almost, because he's going very, very slow. There he is. Sorry if I sound a bit sarcastic, but this is absolutely weird. Wisp then, ahead of Remco, technically leading the race. Attila in 3rd then. This is going to be utterly confusing. I'm not sure how long I can keep this up. There we go, it's fixed. Thank you, game. Let's hope it will stay like that for now. So then, what do we have? I think Attila is actually quite struggling a little bit on his medium tires. His Crampy is now slowly creeping to the Haas there, trying to take that the final podium position there. He's only half a second away from the Haas over there, and DRS is now enabled. Remco pushing really hard to stay within that 1 second as Wisp is driving the tires from under his car, and now the standings are getting messed up again. I'm so confused right now. My head cannot take this after a day work. I'm so sorry. But the good news, he doesn't have DRS actually, but he did manage to get a good exit there at the end of Sector 1 on the first straight with DRS there. So that managed for him to close up the gap a little bit, but immediately he loses it due to the superior grip of Wisp's tires there. Lieutra overtaking Henners for 11th place. Yeah, this game is gonna break, and in time it's also going to break B, because already I can no longer keep up properly. It's messing up my commentary so badly right now. So I do apologize if it sounds very flustered at the moment, but I'm currently perfectly reflecting the race. Anyway, back to the action on track, and there we have it then, a proper overtake there as Crampy takes 3rd place from Attila. The man who started on pole has already fallen down 3 places in 3 laps time. If this trend continues, he'll be lost by the time lap 19 arrives. So that is not looking very bright there for the Hungarian as he now crosses the line to start lap 4. And Domi is within DRS range of himself as well. So that is something he'll be having to look out for. But the thing is though, they're both Hungarian, so maybe they'll be a bit nicer to each other. Maybe not. You never really know. But now I am wondering, is he still within DRS possibility? Yes, he is. He was within a second on the DRS detection line, so he can keep up with the group. Wisp is doing all he can to pull away from Remco here. And he's slowly but surely doing so, especially in the corners. As you can see, he's gaining so much time in the corners, but it is Remco who's a lot faster on the straights, and that is where he is gaining all the time. So there's that then. It's a bit going back and forth between the two drivers there, and Crampy is now closing up to the Dutchman. Look at this, he's got a mega pace, but his battery is pretty much flat, as is Remco's as far as I can see. He's got a very, very low battery at the moment, trying to keep up with Wisp over there. And his battery is doing just fine. And now Remco is going to start losing time on the straights as well. As Crampy is now closing in on the Dutchman. And the fight for P2, it's actually P2, believe it or not. Psycho is definitely not really leading the race. There he is. Now he's really getting ready to make the move. The soft tires are still superior at this stage of the race. Attila is trying to keep up, and he's able to do so thanks to DRS. Big Turbina fighting in the meanwhile with Henners for P12. if that isn't any desync issue, of course. And Remco is really under pressure now from Crampy. So let's see how he will cope with that. He's got no DRS. He has very little battery. Crampy does have very little battery as well. And he's just a tad too far away to make a proper move on this straight. But it might be the next straight where he'll be able to pull a proper move to take second place for the time being. But then, of course, he knows he has to take them to make the most of these tires. Because in the second stint, he will be on the mediums and Remco and Remco and Attila will be on the softs, and they will be quicker during that part of the race. Wisp is slowly edging away on his quicker tires, but it will be a few laps still until those tires will drop off slowly but surely. Deeksurf car sitting in the Alpha garage. Yep, definitely. And there we are then. Crampy has taken second place from Remco there, as we have a yellow flag. It's the other Alpine car of Wildy. I'm not sure where he is. There he is. Oh, dearie me. That's a pretty big accident there. It's debris everywhere on the track, and Cutters just pushes away that part of front wing there. So that's not a great moment there for Wildy, moving out of the way of Cutters' Williams and forced to go back into the pit lane. Not sure what happened there. It wasn't the back straight. So it might be a desynced car just crashing into him, or him crashing into a desynced car and getting caught off guard by that. Either way, it's his race over for now, unless a safety car comes out. In the meanwhile, the other Ferrari of Henners is now pressuring Liuktra for the final points-paying position. Liuktra will have DRS, looks like, as he's still just within a second, and Henners therefore can keep up, but he cannot go alongside with him, for now at least. So Ferrari are starting to look ever better in this race. We have another yellow flag in Sector 1. I think it's Daz's Aston Martin going somewhere else. Going for a bit of a holiday experience over there. Fortunately for him, no damage to his front wing. I think he just came out of the pit lane, as he's taken a fresh set of tires. For as far as I can see. No, he doesn't actually. So it's just not Daz's race, apparently. And he isn't going particularly fast on this straight, to be honest. So there might be some desyncing going on there as well. It's just guesswork at the moment to see who is properly driving around and who is just desyncing like crazy. I've just completely lost track of what's going on where. Fortunately, we are slowly getting back the gaps between all of the cars. Now Alexander somehow managed to go back to P6, where he actually is supposed to be for a change. So there we are then. Psycho has already been lapped, according to my screen at least, but I really don't think that's the case. I don't know where he's driving around. Might be on the moon. Sanago is now once again leading the race, but he is currently, as far as I can see, driving around somewhere at the back of the grid, but that might also be false. This is so hard to commentate, you've got no idea. This is really, really difficult. So let's see then, there's a McLaren in between these two. Oh dearie me, we have a crash there, I'm afraid. That's Psycho's car getting pushed out of the way. No yellow flag, so that's definitely not his car in that position over there. Otherwise the yellow flag would have been brought out, so he's definitely not in the position where he is on the map. But now look at this, the medium tires are starting to come alive as Crampy's got no answer to the Dutchman's attack. Remco then taking second place back from the Englishman on his home track. And that is now then the advantage for the medium tires starting to come into their own. And Attila as well is starting to keep up easier and easier. And now Remco's got that 3-second gap to Wisp to take the race lead. Arrow then one of the guys getting a penalty. There's already a lot of people having a time penalty to their name after only 8 laps here in Britain. Getting a penalty is actually not easy. You'll have to really try and go off the track quite a lot to get that done. Either way, how long can Crampy keep up his charge to the upper field as Attila is edging ever closer? So far though, it looks like Wisp has got his tires perfectly well under control. as Psycho gets a 5-second time penalty for a collision with Wildy, apparently. We saw a slow-going Williams over there. I think that is actually Sanagoat. It's definitely Sanagoat. His battery's been all used. Now we're going to get an interesting situation here. Let's see what happens, as he's now getting pushed by Remco, because this is definitely not the place where his car is. There you go, and Remco moving past. Crampy moving past. This might be looking a bit weird. No, thankfully he's going all right there. No, he's definitely not there, Gozzi. This is definitely not the position he is in, because you can see Attila just ramming into his back and nothing happening to the front wing. So Sanagoat, I don't know where he is. As I said, they might all be in China, Japan, they might be in South Africa and Brazil, wherever, but it's definitely not on the track at the moment. As it's just confusion all round. But what we do know now is that Remco is actually starting to gain on the race leader. And that's... Whoa! As I said that, he nearly loses the car. I just jinxed my fellow Dutchman a little bit there. Thankfully, he was able to keep it under control. Look at this, then Attila slowly starting to pile on the pressure to Crampy's Ferrari there. And Crampy is still doing a valiant job keeping up with the medium tire users, as those tires are slowly starting to reach the end of their proper life cycle. Of course, he can keep them going for longer if he wants to. I'm quite sure he can, but it's not good, not very good for your pace. The weather, I think, is going to be dry all the way. I haven't heard from anybody what the weather is going to be. It might also be snowing, considering the game is very desynced at the moment. There might be a blizzard, several tornadoes as well. You never really know. It's anybody's guess at the moment. Thanks to that twitchy moment there, Renko's lost quite a lot of time. Look at that. It was 2.8 at the start of the lap. It's now about 3.4 seconds, and Crampy is therefore once again ramping up attack mode to try and take that second place back, which he snatched a few laps ago, and Remco was having none of it. But he is going for the early stop. Look at this. That's an extremely early stop for these soft tires, if I'm honest. He's going for a long run on the mediums. I think he's going to attempt an undercut to make sure he at least gets ahead when the rest has made their stop, because he knows they will go to the soft tires. He goes to the mediums right there, and he's falling down the order pretty obviously. So let's see what happened there. Now it's Attila versus Remco, the man who started on pole, now back in third place, back on the podium. And look at that, Remco's light is still flashing. He's still having so much trouble keeping his battery charged. It's almost like he's having a battery issue, but I'm quite sure that's not the case, because mechanical failures, of course, aren't a thing in online play. That's basically correct there, yes. Basically a cold rainy night in Stoke. 3 laps early will be better for an undercut. Yeah, so it's a tiny attempt of an undercut. As we see Electra fighting. No, that's definitely not fighting with Sanagoat. The Sanagoat isn't really driving around there, as you can see. It's actually Reapy and Henners fighting with the Alfa Romeo reserve. And they are getting past the desynced Williams of Sanagoat as well. If anybody knows where he is exactly, I'd like to know. And look at this. Henners got a better exit than Reapy, but both of them have DRS, so that means, at least for now, Henners has to stick behind the Alpha Tauri of Reapy for the time being. But he is going to try the undercut on the other soft tire user. That is Reapy. In he comes, but he's gone too quick. And there is a 5-second time penalty for him. That's very unfortunate. So that leaves only Reapy to fight with Liutra for P6 then. As slowly but surely the soft tire users are starting to come in to pit for a fresh set of mediums. P14, yeah, Sanagoat at the moment. Alright, thank you for updating us on that. He's currently driving around in P18 or P7 or P8 or wherever the game thinks he is, but thank you for confirming he's in P14 at the moment. A bit of extra lag there to spice things up, as Aro is attacking Big Turbina and takes from him the P9, if that is, of course, the correct place where he is supposed to be at. Looking good, though, for Aro. He's rarely been able to score points. As I said before the qualifying even started, he's only been able to score points in Saudi Arabia. where he finished 9th as well. And now he's once again driving around in the points. And according to the game, he's 2/10 behind Big Turbine. Which is interesting. Look at this then. Alexander getting big pressure from Crampy's Ferrari. And I'm quite sure that move is going to come soon. And look at that, the race leader pitting for a fresh set of medium tires. I think this might actually be a desync, because he's just barging Alexander out of the way without taking any damage. The race leader then in for his first and only stop. Big Turbine once again retaking the position from Aro. These guys are fighting hard for P9 as the desynced Sanagoat Williams is appearing in front of them, which is moving out of the way, braking hard as he thinks he's being lapped as he now moves on to P18 again. Wisp coming out though behind the fight between his teammate and the Haas of Aro. So that's interesting. Will Big Turbine help his championship aspiring teammate a little bit there, because he himself is technically still in that fight too. And he's a bit too far up ahead on the road, and I think it's likely that Big Turbine will pit either this lap or next lap if he really wants to stretch it long. As Attila is now properly pressurizing Remco for the technical lead of the race. Look at this. Remco's battery is still very low. Attila's still got plenty of battery, and he just breezes past without even using it. Into the lead of the race he goes. Where he started from, he's now back in that position. It's lap 12 out of 26. We haven't seen a safety car just yet. We saw 2 of them yesterday in Tier 3. So the field is very much spread out all over the place. Psycho is out. He's retired. As for him, I think the issues were by far the worst. And look at this. I thought there was a fight going on there, but it's just Axel going to the pit lane. Reapy as well. And Liuktra is, of course, still going on his older growing set of medium tires. Crampy then now moving ahead of the desynced Williams. And now Remco is trying to stay with the Haas of Attila. Probably and try to save a little bit of battery. I think that would be a wise strategy indeed from the Dutchman. He's having a bit of trouble keeping his car straight. Can't help but notice that his car's been twitching around left and right after a corner exit there. So it's might be a very aggressive setup, allowing him to keep up pace. But it looks like if he punches the throttle a bit too hard, he might lose the car. And now the tires are getting older. That risk just increases with every lap. He's still within DRS range though. Domi trying to stay with them. And using all of his battery to close the gap, but instead losing more and more time because Remco's got that DRS. Now the gap is up to 2.8 seconds. Liuktra is very far behind in 4th place at the moment. On the same aged tires. And the medium tire stop will come up within the next 2 laps. And then we will see how they will be able to keep up against those guys who've come in for a fresh set of mediums a few laps earlier. According to the game, Wisp's tires are still 0 laps old. And now this man can push all the way to the finish line. Can he extend his lead from Remco as he now sets the fastest lap of the race? And he is, from a bit of quick math, that's 23, 24, 25-ish seconds away. And since the pit lane in Silverstone is about 25,000 miles long, he will easily regain the lead of the race. And getting once again ahead of his main rival here, Remco, as Sanagoat is driving around in 14th at the moment. Alexander Johansen leaving the session as well, most likely due to all of the desync issues going on. Ego dumpers left and right, according to several drivers in the lobby at the moment. Not looking great there. Axel then getting past the desync Williams as well. Now into 7th place on his fresh set of medium tires. He's looking quite well tonight there in the Aston Martin. Looking strong. And there he is then. Remco was coming for an extreme... I have to say, it's quite the early stop. I think this is going to be an undercut to stop Wisp from getting too far ahead. and then going onto the more advantageous soft tires. Domi decides to follow suit. He thinks this strategy will work for him as well, as now Wisp is approaching the start-finish line. Let's see where he'll come out compared to Remco and Domi. They are both already driving out of their pit lane position, and Wisp, there he is, now ahead of both of them, and it looks like a very, very, very big lead, and Remco only now can start to press down the throttle. And even Crampy, there you are then, look how close it is between these two drivers. It's Crampy and Remco still very close together on track. Look at that. He's timed this almost to perfection, as Crampy is now ahead, but it will give him some DRS and a very full battery. Crampy's battery is pretty much run dry, so he has got no chance. Look at that speed difference between both cars, as now Remco moves into 4th position. And he didn't lose too much time at all over there, and now all he needs to do is create that big gap and close the gap to Wisp, which has gone up to a staggering 6.4 seconds for now. But he will have the pace advantage until the end of the race, I'm quite sure of that. So now then it's just a matter of then, there we are, confirmation of Attila going into the pit lane, noticing that Remco has done the same, and now most likely Remco will be ahead of him after the Haas exits the pit lane. And that means now Liuktra will lead the race for at least another lap. I personally think that the man who started on the medium and went to the softs will have the advantage in this race. But Wisp does have some serious pace. Remco is not making up as much time as he would have liked, I think. Ted is about to exit the pit lane, so let's see where he comes out then. It is definitely behind Remco and not behind Crampy, it looks like. Crampy's got another one to duel with, but this time he will have the DRS as he ended up behind the Haas. And look at that, Attila coming out very nearly, very closely behind Remco there. And now the fight once again is on between these two amazing drivers. Both of them have more or less similar pace, so that's going to be a promising fight until the end. Crampy, of course, on his harder compound tires, is able to keep up with these two, which is quite impressive to see. He's up for another good result. Another punch up the driver standings there is what he needs, as we see Daz spinning out, I think. Might be another desync issue though, so it's hard to tell. Reapy and Henners are still fighting as well. The other Ferrari here fighting with an Alpha Tauri. Coming up to the infamous corner here. They're going side by side. Let's see how this one works out then. Is somebody going to be touched there? No, it's nice and clean. That's how you do it. Reapy, for now at least, stays ahead. Henners being literally in the gearbox of the Alpha Tauri there, as he really likes to get past. Reapy has the slight advantage in terms of tire life, but it looks like Henners actually has the pace advantage, at least for now, as he breezes ahead of the Alpha Tauri into P8. Remco now then setting a fastest lap of the race, which is a 27.9, which is a high 27. And now the gap is gone down by 1 second to 5.4 seconds. It was 6.4 seconds 2 laps ago, so that's more or less half a second per lap, which is not enough. It will barely be enough if he can keep up the pace, but you know, those tires will get older at some point. So he needs to find even more time. And he's still got the worry of Attila behind him, who's pressurizing him to go even faster. And if he makes a mistake, that is Attila's place to take. Crampy is now starting to lose connection to the group though. He'll probably be waiting patiently until his tires start to come into their own. Look at this fight is still incredibly close as well. So the closest fights we have at the moment are for P2, 3. P7 and 8, and also for P10 and 11 between Big Turbina and Aro. Both are equally old tires. It looks like Aro has found some pace in this break week, as he's now able to keep up with the Big Turbina, where normally he had somewhat of a pace deficit to a lot of the fields. But here he is then. He's on the verge of points, and he really likes to have them. And Reapy now again moving ahead of Henners. And let's see what Aro can do. Can he mount an attack on the back straight. I don't think he can. He's a bit too far behind and his battery is not that very well charged. Big Turbina though does have a very well charged battery. So he might just be saving it to go for a big push at the end of the race. Trying to catch up to Liuktra, but he's on a fresh set of soft tires. He's just put them under his car. And now he is the one driving around in P9 actually, because Senegoat, as said before many times, is not leading the race. 4.9 seconds now from Remco to Attila, to Wisp. And Attila is keeping up quite well here with the Dutchman. Still got a podium in his sight and no penalties for him whatsoever. But the gap isn't coming down as quick as Remco would like, I think. Wisp is just having a proper amount of pace on those mediums and he's able to keep them behind. Another Haas, as I said, fighting for position. Aro still behind Big Turbina. Henners and Reapy are having the tightest battle, I think, at the moment, as they are just switching positions back and forth every single possible lap where they can do it. So that is quite exciting to see. Let's see if you can get a good exit here. What looks like their exits are pretty much equal, as we see a Alpha Tauri spinning out, and that's a proper spin. It's Feral Dude. He's moved down all the way down to 18th. So a terrible race for him. If that actually is the position he is in, of course. He was starting from P7 and now he's driving around in last place. So I'm not sure how correct that is. Might not be correct at all. With 8 laps to go, things are now really heating up between these two, and look at this. Henners decides now might be the time to go and push him into a bit of a bad position for a bad exit out of these corners, and now he's very, very, very close, and he might have a go then once again for P8 in the race. There he is then, pulling alongside him. He's got the inside line, and Reapy has got no choice but to watch the Ferrari pass, at least for now, because he knows their pace is pretty much equal, and therefore he can easily keep up with him. Oh dear me, something has happened to Aro. He's suddenly very far down and very far behind Lucas Alvarez and Big Turbina all of a sudden. Now he's getting pressurized by Wildy for P13, and that nearly went wrong very badly. Wildy thought he could go for it, but Aro then suddenly decided to brake a little later. And that nearly costed Wildy his front wing. But he's still pretty much on the Haas and getting ready. So it's 2 Haas versus Alpine battles now going on track. In one of the cases the Haas is behind the Alpine, and the other case is where the Haas is ahead, at least for now, as Feral Dude goes into the pit lane and retires from the session. He's got enough of this. Seven laps to go. And it looks like Wisp's lead still isn't in any jeopardy at all. Remco's gap is no longer decreasing, and we have another fight here with Domi and Crampy then. Domi's tires being much fresher and faster at the moment. Easily going past the Ferrari of Crampy. So Crampy now down to P5. But I think he's just playing the patience game. Quite sure of that. He knows that his tires will come into their own by the end of the race. All he needs to do now is keep up with Domi, and he's doing a good job at that. Look at this. He's just staying very, very close behind. And he might even mount an attack if he can do it. He's only 3/10 behind. He's using his battery, so he's definitely going for it. He does take the attempt, go side by side and ahead of the Hungarian into P4 once again, and Domi will be left waiting for another moment to strike at the Englishman. Here we are then. Suddenly Remco's taken another half a second out of Wisp's lead. But he needs more than that. He needs almost 1 second per lap now to close that gap. Wisp is still leading somewhat comfortably. I think Remco can see him, but he is not able to catch up quick enough, I'm afraid. And Attila is just saving his battery. Look at that. Remco has got almost no battery, and Attila's just chilling out behind him. Just waiting for the moment where Remco has got absolutely no battery left anymore. And then he will make his move. But this is a strategic move there for the Haas driver, I think. Just taking it easy. And he will put on the pressure by the end of the race. That's a smart thing to do. Slow going Aston Martin. There's actually a spun around Aston Martin. And Daz is having an absolute disastrous day. Two other guys going past him. Another battle going on there between Crampy and Domi still. I think Domi this time will be able to attack. Let's see how his battery is doing. It's quite healthy as opposed to Crampy's battery, which is almost empty like Remco's is. And look at this. He's going to go for it. I'm quite sure of that. There he is, side by side. And ahead before the corner even starts to happen. Once again, back into 4th place. It's between these two, it's just like between Reapy and Henners. Going back and forth between positions, and then by the final few laps, then is when the proper heated racing will start. Look at that, even the purple final sector there for Domi as he hangs around in 4th place for now. So he's definitely going very quick. Let's see how Remco is doing. Looks like Attila is slowly starting to mount the pressure. He's still not going to attack, I think, at least not on this straight. Oh, dearie me. We have a Ferrari on the grass. It's Henners fighting with Reapy, losing his car just before the finish line there, going into lap 21. And that's his fight for P8 pretty much done for. Very unfortunate for Henners there, and he loses it again. Going for another fancy spin there again, going backwards onto the gravel. Trying to turn the car around. And he succeeds. Now, he needs to be very careful. His tires will be hot and they are dirty, so it's a spinning galore as he now gets a 10-second penalty for going backwards really fast, making the game think that he just cut the track completely there, which of course isn't really the case, if we're honest. Look at this now. Now Attila is trying to pressurize the Dutchman there for 2nd place. The time he thinks has come. His battery is fully charged. Remco's battery is screaming for more life. And that is just not happening whatsoever. He's wasted all of his energy trying to catch up, but unfortunately the gap has increased to Wisp. So that's his race victory. Definitely out of question for now. Unless, of course, something disastrous happens to Wisp. And now, look at this. Attila is going to attack. There's no doubt. As Henners retires, he crashes out, and it's an extremely late safety car. It's a safety car, the closing stages of the race. Now this will for sure shake things up. This is unbelievable. I've never seen a safety car 4 laps before the end. I'm not even sure the field can catch up to the head. As in, that is Wisp. Now Wisp will most likely come in for a fresh set of tires. I dearly hope that the safety car will not cause even more issues. But we will definitely potentially see some carnage, especially with all the desynced cars left and right. And the game thinking that Sanagoat is leading might be an issue as well. So let's dearly hope that will not cause any more problems. Everybody's going in for a fresh set of soft tires. I think Wisp is going to do the same. He isn't going to do the same. He's staying out. So let's see what Remco will do then. He's still got the faster tire. And he does come in. And interestingly, Attila decides not to do so. Domi comes in then. Crampy, will he come in? No, he stays out as well. Oh dear. Some people think it's wise to change the tires. Some people think it's not wise. Remco and Domi decide it's time to switch. And Wisp doesn't, and Attila doesn't either. Potentially, Attila might be in prime position here. As Remco's got at least one Ferrari car in between himself and Attila there. He's given up the position for fresh tires. And he might potentially get passed by another car if he isn't quick out of the pit lane. It's Reapy over there. Now he stays ahead of Reapy, but Domi, unfortunately for him, is behind the Alpha Tauri. And ahead of the Alfa Romeo of Liuktra. Axel gone in for a fresh set of tires as well. So let me have a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 drivers decided to stay out. And the other 7 decided to come in. So it's almost a 50-50. Oh dear. Safety car in this lap. I wouldn't even be surprised if that happens. Let's have a little look here. We see Wisp then still leading the race. Attila right behind him. Crampy right behind him then. Remco still far behind. But he's got even more bad news coming up for him, as there is 2 lapped cars in the way of himself and Crampy. At least 2 cars. I see a Mercedes and a Aston Martin. And yes, there we are. Safety car in this lap. Deary me. Half the field isn't even there. And the safety car is going to come in. Reapy then leading a second group of cars to the rest of the field. Half the group can catch up. The other half will not be able to, as Daz decides to move out of the way before the restart even happened. But here is the big question though. Can Wisp keep the lead from Attila's charge? Crampy. Might he be able to do something as well? Remco is behind a lapped car, so that's really bad news for him. But it might be a desynced car. Let's see. Moves out of the way immediately. And Aro crashes out, trying to make his way to the rest of the field. So that's really unfortunate. Let's see though. Wisp is still in the lead of the race. Attila is still in second. Crampy is still in third. Remco is in fourth. And Reapy is fighting with Axel for P5 at the moment. But let's see who will come out on top of this one. Wisp already trying to create that gap to Attila, but his tires are still somewhat faster than those mediums are at the moment. I think they're pretty much on equal pace right there. So let's see what will happen in these final 2 laps of the race. Believe it or not, it's only 2 laps of racing left. It's been an absolute carnage and chaos. Not in terms of cars not finishing the race, but just the desync's been all over the place, and it's been immensely difficult to keep up with all the stuff going on for me. I'm not sure how many more of these sessions I can do as a commentator if the chaos stays like this. Remco pushing really hard, almost going onto the grass though. He wants to get back that podium place. I think he now realizes he might have given up that podium position, as he's struggling to keep up with only 2 laps of racing. That also means no DRS will happen. Axel then passes now Reapy for 5th place. A good race there for the Aston Martin driver, as Reapy tries to fight back the position, but his tires are just not up to speed there any longer, as his tires, Axel's tires, are much fresher. Wisman still leading the race, and Attila has only got 1 shot, but we've seen yesterday that 1 shot can literally be enough, as Hacko took the win from Max O'Connor in the final corner on the final lap of the race. And Attila might just do the same, as their tire situation is pretty much equal. Look at that there in the background. Remco trying to pressurize Crampy for that 3rd place there. The final podium place. He'd like to get it back, but it's no longer a victory he can chase. And looks like Attila is starting to lose out. It's 0.8 of a second already to Wisp. He's doing all he can to stay up with him, but his battery is starting to run low, and Wisp's battery is still about halfway charged there. So I think Attila, unless Wisp makes a mistake through these corners here, he is gaining a little bit of time, now losing it again, and he's losing a lot of time this now. Look at that. I don't think he's going to be able to challenge for the win any longer, but Crampy then still has Remco behind him. Remco's got only 1 shot as well for that podium place. And then he'll see whether his strategy was good or not. I don't think it was though, because he's already lost out plenty of positions. He was ahead of Attila, now in 4th. He's got 1 more chance to do it. He goes around the outside. Look at that. Barges his Alpine through. Crampy has to go almost off the track, but he does it. He at the last corner, just like yesterday, we see a final move. Axel getting the fastest lap of the race, and Remco then in the very last possible moment. A deja vu to yesterday, not for the win of the race this time though, but for the final podium place. He snatches it at the last possible opportunity. I don't think Crampy is going to be too pleased with that one. I couldn't see from this camera angle what exactly happened there, but it was definitely a very strong move from the Dutchman to end up on the podium after all. And there we have it then, a wildly strange race we've had. And now all drivers have crossed the line with an extremely late safety car So much desync that we might have well hosted this game from the planet Mars. But that was a brilliant finish there from Remco. GG is what Crampy says, so definitely no strange contact there. Wisp extending his lead over his rivals. So now we can actually see where absolutely everybody finished. Looks like Sanagot finished 5th. We didn't see that. Couldn't see that at all. Let's see, Domi then in the end going home in P10. His strategy working out pretty badly. He was in prime position to take a top 5 spot, but it didn't work out. Cottis on his first outing, finishing 11th. Lucas Alvarez finishing 12th. Wiley finishing in 13th. Alexander 1 lap down in P14. Das lap down as well. Aro crashing out after the safety car restarted the race. And Hanners, Feraldude and Psycho not finishing the race. It was quite exciting. Sanagot finished P5, yes, because that's what the standings said at least. But yeah, once again, it's just confusion is reigning, and I'm honestly quite tired after that. But there you have it. Your race is officially over. Right then, let's see if any of the drivers are up for a little bit of an interview. It's actually our race winner. Well then, let's put him into the commentary booth here. Wisp, first and foremost, congratulations. From our point of view, from the viewers, spectators' point of view, it was a very strange race to watch. How is it for you in terms of desync issues and all that stuff?
It was fine on my end. I didn't have any major like desync issues. I actually didn't have a single one. The only thing was people like leaving or whatever. I guess that the game just crashed or whatever. I saw Turbina had some issues. He told me his game crashed a lot. So that's like the only thing I experienced at least, but that's about it.
Okay, so that's very fortunate for you. Moving away from the issues, you took second in qualifying with only half a tenth. You probably weren't too happy with that one because of the small margin. And then in the first lap, at the first opportunity, you took the lead of the race, and I think it's fair to say you never looked back.
Yeah, I was kind of scared because when I went on the softs, me and Krabby both went soft, and we were the only ones. And I was kind of worried everyone else was on a medium, so I was like, oh, are they just gonna stay out longer and just overtake me when I pit? But it worked out fine. I was not that worried about the quality or whatever, because I knew if as long as I was in the front row, I could probably get a better start and yeah, just lead the race from there.
Yeah, you said you were a bit worried because of the reverse strategy compared to the drivers around you. But which part of the race would you say was the strongest part? Was it the soft stint or the medium stint?
It was probably the medium stint, considering I was doing almost the same pace as the soft guys. And I was keeping kind of well ahead of Remco and Attila, I think his name is. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, good job on you then. It was quite an exciting race from our point of view. You were in quite a commanding lead, if I might be so bold to say. And you will have, once again, a healthy lead in the driver standings as well, going into Austria with 7 races to go. Are you thinking about the title just yet?
There's a lot of interesting stuff happening with this game, considering all the desync and stuff like that, so a lot can happen in the closing races, so I'm kind of worried about that, but other than that, it looks pretty solid so far to me. I have some strong races coming up, and yeah.
Alright, let's see what will happen next week. Thanks for joining us, and enjoy your victory.
Thank you.
Our other podium finisher joining us tonight here is Attila. Attila, congratulations on your second place there at the end of the race. You had pole position, which was immediately taken away from you after race start. How was qualifying for you, first and foremost? How did that work out for you? Just a little information. I need to unmute you. I already did, but you probably need to unmute yourself as well. There you go. There you are. Qualifying first. How was that?
Thanks for the congratulations. I didn't really expect myself to be on pole, to be honest, because I didn't practice a lot for these races. I'm a reserve driver in this league, and usually in the wet I'm not that fast. So I was quite happy with that pole position. I think my last sector was like 2/10 faster than the second guy's sector, so that's where I won that qualifying. Yeah, and the race start, I was opted for the medium tires because the old strategy is really strong here, I think. But Wisp had a really good start, and he could just fly away with the soft tires, and he had really good pace. And with the other guy, I think it was Remco, if I remember correctly. We were. I was behind him almost the whole race, but before the pit stops, I overtook him because he had low ERS and I had a lot, so I wanted to gain time on Wisp.
I saw at some point you were just sitting behind him as Remco pushed hard, draining his battery, and at some point I saw your battery is pretty much full. Were you just waiting for the right moment to strike?
Yeah, that was the case. I was trying to save ERS, and I saw that he was pushing hard with his energy. Maybe he was trying to catch the first guy. He didn't really manage to do that, but it's not a problem because we weren't as fast as him. I was really pissed off with the safety car, to be honest, because I was like on 100% ERS until he was flashing, and that gave him the chance to recharge his battery.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really do anything, and there was not even a DRS at the end for the last 2 laps. And I was really surprised that he was pitting with 2 laps to go. And Wisp had a really good pace on the older mediums, and I think the mediums were better at that stage of the race.
All right, well, that's a nice position then for you to finish in second place. Hopefully we'll see more exciting racing from you in the following weeks. Enjoy your second place. Congratulations again. And
Thank you very
hopefully
much.
we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. I really do hope so as well.
Cheers. All right, my good friends, thank you so much for bearing with me tonight on this difficult to commentate race. It's probably been the most difficult for me to commentate in my entire history of spectating and commentating races with all these strange issues. We are already in the Discord seeing an interesting screenshot of Psycho being almost 90 degrees upright in the air with his McLaren car, which is just interesting to see. Either way, let's just hope that the following races in Britain will be a bit less buggy, glitchy and desyncy, with the Americas Tier 2 coming up tonight, late tonight for Europe, and tonight for the Americans. Tomorrow, 10 p.m. sharp, will be Tier 1 in Europe, and then followed by that, the Americas Tier 1, to finish off the British week. Next week, as I said, you'll hear from me again in Tier 3 in Austria, 10 p.m. sharp on Monday evening. Have a good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.